Afternoon, everybody. It's Andy here, reporting from the garage once again, and I've got a free Sunday afternoon, so I just thought I'd whip this up for you here. What you're looking at right now is the Cubase session for the Lotus Eater cover. I figured what I could do is take all of this apart. It's one of my biggest projects in terms of my full band covers. It's 58 tracks of stuff. So I thought I'd just dissect it, take it apart, and show you how I do my covers, and my mixing techniques, and what samples and settings I use. Okay, so from the start here, let's go straight into it. This is the intro. There's one vocal line right there. To the left is a bassoon, and to the right is a very subtle double bass, just to kind of fill it out. Then when it all kicks in, it starts with the drums here and the little tom fill there. That's all the drums. Those are all the isolated microphones, and those are the overheads. And let's start with the kick track. So the kick track, what I do is I just use a quick brick wall limiter effect, just to regulate all of these bass drum hits here, so that it makes it easier to trigger. And when I open Slate Trigger, this is what I use to replace my original bass drum sound. As you can see, the mix is 100%, so there's none of the original bass drum track. I use the FYAD kick that I've downloaded from the internet. There's a bunch of TCI samples that you can find, and I believe this is for the band Fuck You and Die. Which is, I never heard of them, pretty vulgar name, but they have got a banging kick sound, so I thought I'd take that, pitch shift it up a little bit, and those are my settings in terms of dynamic range and stuff. I just use the kick 5 there just to add a little bit of reverb to it, fill it out a bit. And after that I use the typical rock bass drum compression preset on Cubase 5's compressor, and those are my EQ settings as well, just for this particular song. Right, the snare isn't. That's just a little bit of EQ there. The snare isn't completely mixed out from trigger. I keep some of the original take as I like. So if I very quickly just go back here. Kind of makes it more genuine to have the rest of the drums bleeding through the mic a little bit. I don't know, I quite like that effect. And then the samples I use are snare 3P, I believe that's 3 piccolo. These come with the Slate Trigger X package, and then there's the reverb. And then I sampled my own snare using the Slate instrument editor. I really like this sample that I've made because it doesn't really have much body, but the fact that it's all rim shots kind of has that it has that transient pop, whereas if I take it out, very subtle difference, but I like it very much. And then a little bit of reverb. These are my reverb settings right here, and then I use the typical snare compression 2 preset settings for the compressor here. I think I might have tweaked it a little bit, but I love this preset. Snare compression 2 is the business. And then there's a little bit of brick wall limiting again, just to make sure that the snares don't rise above a certain volume there, and because if they do, then it kind of gets hard to control. This, I believe, is just the snare buzz. Yeah, I mic'd the underside of the snare just to give it that buzz, just to make sure it's not too thuddy. Then these are the toms. What I do for the toms is I simply replace the whole track with trigger. And I use Sneap Chimera samples that I downloaded from the internet, and that's tom 1, pitch shifted up a little bit. I mean, when I choose tom samples and I replace them completely, I still want them to blend with the overheads, so I tune these samples to the actual tuning of the tom itself. So that's a bit more genuine and it just blends a bit more. Yeah, so tom 1, then the quick tom, settings here that come with the Trigger X program. There's my EQ as well. A little bit of presence boost there, of clicky boost. And that's basically what I do for all of them, and the only difference is that there's a slight change in EQ here and there, and that's how I do my toms. Okay. The overheads, there's absolutely nothing going on here, they're just the dry tracks, but I do EQ the actual group channel. Lots of reverb just because I prefer it, makes it sound a bit more spacious. Like this is just a little bit too dry for me. So I just like to, yeah. Pump and drum overheads. The preset for the compressor again, and yeah, I don't think I've touched that. I think that's just the preset. I went into an envelope shaper and just took some of the attack off, just to take some of the sting away from some of the ride cymbals that are picked up quite harshly by the mics or something. And then there's just a low pass there, just to control all the high frequencies. So, those are the drums. Okay, this sample here, I didn't make. I recorded the audio from the original Opeth song. Just because I have no freaking idea of how to replicate that sound. I assume they're all flutes, but it's like, I don't know. Anyway. Guitar! This is my guitar tone. I go straight through Revolver first. 65/5 head just by itself. These are my settings for it. And then, oh, by the way, those are my settings just for this particular cover. It's not really my standard guitar tone. Then, instead of having the impulses coming through on Revolver, I use a different program which is free, downloadable from the internet. This is Poulain Le Cab 2, and I've also got some downloaded things here, some downloaded impulses. Now the great thing about this program is that, you know, with Revolver you can only have one impulse per track, but with this you can have up to 6 per guitar track, so you don't have to make several guitar tracks copied and pasted just to have loads of impulses. So it's really cool. Multiband compression, I use a very tight compression here between 200 and 350. It brings out the chug quite nicely, like the gong 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 gong. Then I have some treble compression here. People typically don't do this, I don't think, but I find that if you do it right, then it can control the buzz of the guitar tone a little bit, while still having that treble boost. I'm not even using that stereo enhancer, so fagga. Oh yeah, and typical EQ settings here. It makes a bit difference. Just a presence boost, a mid-range boost. 1300 hertz is typically the gent boost. You know, the gong 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 gong, that snarl. I also take out 700 hertz pretty much on every guitar track I do, because otherwise it sounds quite cardboardy and woody. So yeah, I like to take that out. And there's a quick high pass there, just to rescue some of the low frequencies of the other instruments. In the distortion tracks here, I just use 2 tracks in this song. Usually I use 4, but 2 did the job just nicely. Lead track's basically the same. It's just a little bit more overdriven, I guess. Yeah, pretty much the same 65/5 settings, slightly different impulses. I've got the Petrucci constant motion there, and the catharsis impulse that has more presence. And then just a bit of ping pong delay. I think this is exactly the guitar solo preset. I don't think I've changed this. And slight difference in EQ change just to bring out the mid-ranges a bit more, make the lead tone sing a bit more. I'm not particularly fond of this lead tone, but it seemed to work in the mix, so. Yeah. For the clean setting, I just went straight in straight into the computer, basically through the PreSonus Fire Studio that I'm using, and it doesn't get re-headed through Revolver. It just goes straight through to Poulan, and I use the actual recorded guitars just going through these impulses here. I find that it makes for quite a cool lead tone, a clean tone, I mean. And these are the settings I use for my clean tone. I decided to keep to the same impulse between the distortion and the clean, just to make sure it's more authentic, and it makes it easier to mix too. Slight reverb, just to make sure it's not too dry. I'm picking guitar 1 setting for the compressor, and I just take out some of the lower frequencies and mid frequencies there. Anyway, these 2 tracks here, this one and then this lead track here, are just basically the same settings again. It's just that I've changed the gain input a little bit. And I don't mean the gain on the actual, like, the 6505 head. I mean how much of the guitar is actually going through the PreSonus, so I actually turn down the guitar itself. Right. What's that guy there? Let's go into the orchestra a second. I try my best to replicate that, that really morbid sort of pad. Then we have these guys. I had to program this whole thing because I can't play keyboard for shit. I can do drums, guitar, bass. My hands just can't do the work. They just don't want to focus. I could do chords, but I couldn't do this sort of stuff. I have deep respect for many keyboard players, keyboardists. My bass tone, a bit more distortion than my usual bass tone. I usually just use the 1 impulse coming through Revolver. I don't feel the need to mix them so much. But see, with Mark III Revolver, whenever I use a custom or downloaded impulse, it decides not to show the name, so I can't really tell you exactly what I'm using here. But I'm pretty sure it's like an Ampeg SVT impulse. Again, free downloaded from the internet. Basic bass preamp right here, and these are my settings. Yeah, you choose a deep setting, and these are my sheriff settings as well, just for the distortion, just to mix the bass a little bit easier. And rock bass compression. Yeah, you'll find that with the compression and with the compressor and stuff, I use a lot of the presets. I guess I just rely on them, and then I change the attack and the release depending on how fast the song is. Slight EQ settings as well, just to bring out some of the frequencies and take out some of the frequencies. And that's how I do my bass. Okay, right. Where are we? Let's go through. Okay, so from the start again, let's have a look at vocals. All of these tracks here are dry. I only do the group channel VSTs. It's real vocal plate, mix 19. The maximizer, just the preset rock lead vocals, just to fan it out. Innuendo EQ2. These are specifically settings for my voice, by the way. So yeah, you can take into account this if you want to. But for my voice and the microphone that I use, I need this EQ to balance some stuff out. Compressor, hard rock vocals, I think it's just a preset. I don't think I touched that either. And Spitfish is a free downloadable de-esser that's more effective than Cubase's de-esser, in my opinion. You can get it from digitalfishphones.com. And there's my EQ settings. Cool. Also, that's one vocal track there in the center, but I have the distortion as well. I have a copy of a distortion track underneath it, just because it makes it easier to mix. And I believe for the distortion, I could be wrong. Yeah, see, to blend this vocal track in a bit easier, I've done a copy of the it's early in the morning. I've done a copy of the original vocal track and done it in distortion here, but the distortion settings are exactly the same as the guitar tone. But I find with that there's not much clashing at all actually, and it just makes the vocals sit within the guitar tracks a lot more easily. So. Yeah, it works for me. And then there's just the two harmonies left and right, either side there. Okay, so after that we have the screaming. And for the screaming tracks, you can see that also a lot of these tracks are like spliced and diced a lot. Yeah, this is how I do like the levels. So like if one part of the vocal track is slightly like, let's have a listen to this. Yeah, so with that, that was basically the whole take, right? But I had to splice and dice it because some parts are quieter and some parts are louder. And rather than relying on the compression to sort that out, I just rather level all the different parts just to make sure it all fits and it's all at the same level. Yeah, so I think some of these screaming tracks I did overdub a little bit, like I did half the line at one point, and then I did the second half afterwards. Yeah, like there. Again, some of the techniques I use are a bit amateurish. This isn't perfect, but again, I did this in like a week. And then here, I think this is the massively reverbed. Yeah, right here. Just to make it huge and epic. And the reverb settings I use for that is just a real vocal plate. But the mix is 87%. So it's like, this is like all, so if I took out these tracks here, it would just be reverb, right? So, bring these back in. Just to control how much is going direct and how much isn't. And then I believe I use that later on for some of the singing. Oh wait, give me a sec. And the pride of a mother falls in a mother's son. And the love from hold on, yeah. Falls in a mother's son. Yeah, right there. I really like that. It really works. I'll just let you listen to it for a little bit. Oh, this is a cool effect here. This is what I used for, this is... And basically what I did is I wanted that delay effect, but I didn't want it to go all the way through the track here. I just wanted the last couple of syllables to be pronounced and... You see? So otherwise it'd be inner smoker, inner smoker, inner smoker, yeah, I didn't really want that effect. I just wanted it at the end. I use the same technique for the Static X cover as well, the Push It cover. And what I do is I simply just... So it's just, I wanted the talking to be delayed and echoed. So I just copied that into new tracks and just stuck some delay on it to keep it in time. And then more reverb, and then at the end of the track, yeah, I love this cover. I'm very proud of this one. At the end here, we just have the ripped track from the Neopeth cover itself. Just because this would be impossible to remake and do justice. So I'd rather just copy it, right? So that's the whole project dissected, and that's how I record my drums, guitars, bass, vocals, and the orchestras and synths as well. I mean, I haven't really gone through the synths much, but it's just, you know, they all change depending on the track. I use Massive, East-West, Symphonic Orchestra Gold Edition, and Embracer for some of the really soft pads and stuff. Cool. Right, there you go, guys. You will see more videos in the future. Sorry that it's on a sort of hiatus at the moment. I'm trying to get the EP done. I'm trying to find someone who's willing to do the artwork cheap enough. So once I find that out, I'll keep you posted on the Facebook page. Until then, have a good one, guys. If I don't make another video until after Christmas, and I hope you have a great holiday. Yeah, have a good one. Right. Sayonara!